Rams Nation, welcome back to the Rams Up Roundtable here on the Rams Up Podcast Network. I'm Ian. That's Paul. That's Mark. Gentlemen, how we doing after a much-needed victory that we had to have on Sunday? How you guys doing?
Yeah, feeling a little bit better. Kind of worried about this next game, though.
No kidding, man. How about you, Paul? How you feeling?
Feeling fantastic. It wasn't easy in the Big Easy, was it?
No, it wasn't. But shout out to everybody, all the New Orleans natives who got game balls from Coach McVay. As you know, he was. If anyone saw those videos, Sean McVay getting good airtime. Fist bumping.
So vertical, right? You saw that?
Yeah, dude, with all our New Orleans guys in the locker room after the victory, that was pretty cool. So shout out to the Rams for that. But first, I think we got to talk about the biggest news surrounding this team before we recap some of the Saints stuff that's going on. The Rams put in a waiver claim for former first-round pick Emmanuel Forbes Jr. And this was a shock to Sean McVay as he did not think the Rams were where they're currently at in the waiver priority, right? The crappiest record gets first. The best team with the best record gets last waiver claim. And Sean McVay was surprised for getting this man. And here he is here in his Commander's uniform, which he was only in that for a year and a half, which is really crazy for a first round pick to be available. Not long after he's drafted, and a team spends serious capital on him. So, gentlemen, I'll start with you, Mark. What are your thoughts on the Rams getting a former first round pick who they did like in the draft process in 2023, a season and a half ago?
Well, I kind of got mixed feelings on it. Number one, hey, we're getting the 16th round, 16th pick overall in the draft. He's on his rookie contract. It's not a small bit of cash, though. I think it's 14, 15 million guaranteed. And he's got length, giant wingspan. But then, it's a little bit of a red flag that the Commanders were already ready to move on from him already. So that's concerning a little bit. But why not? Why not? We let go an undrafted free agent to make room for him, and Cam Curl played with him, right? So Curl, the Rams must have checked in on Cameron Curl to get his insight on this guy. So I don't know. We'll see how it works out. Why not? I don't think we should hold out high hopes that he's going to change the secondary overnight. I don't think that's the deal. But maybe the end of this year, beginning of next season, we can rehab him a little bit and make something out of him.
Yeah, that's the hope. What about you, Paul? What are your thoughts on this waiver claim?
Hey, I mean, you have to amass talent. There's an opportunity to pick up a player with a ton of talent. I'm sure Cam Curl was lobbying for him, right? I mean, it's not coincidental. But yeah, I mean, his scouting report, remember way back, not that long ago, Mark and I, when we used to do the draft projections. So his scouting report was pretty positive. Remember, he's famous for one thing that's taken to the house. He was a pick six machine in college. Showed up at the combine at about 160 pounds, and just everybody was like shocked. They were like, "Wow, he's only 160 pounds." But he has great length. He really struggled in that system out in Washington. So we'll see. I mean, I'm sure that's what the Rams are looking at. They want that big play capacity, and if they could find a way to help this kid emerge, it's a win-win.
Yeah, definitely a win-win situation. And, he's under contract for the next couple years. And if they were to bail on him, they would have dead cap associated with him. And it's not big money, of course. But hey, for someone that they said they liked, not a bad time to claim when the corners have been having some bad moments, it feels like, these last couple of weeks. And I know everyone's been picking on Darius Williams. And he's played good football for us this season. He's had a rough couple of weeks. It happens to corners. Noah Witherspoon, right? We didn't see him last game. Could this be a sign that he's fallen out of favor? I mean, who knows? But we'll take talent wherever we can get it. But I think it's important to talk about this little clip that the Rams put out earlier of him at practice as the Rams internet universe was up in arms and arguing with each other about how he looked. So let's play that real quick. So here he is with Akello. Speaking of Akello there, and you can tell the difference in build. As you can see, I mean, he's a skinny guy, everybody out there. I mean, everyone talks about Tutu being pretty thin. I mean, Emmanuel Forbes Jr. is incredibly thin. I think Washington had him as 180 pounds on there. I mean, that's a complete lie. Let's just be honest, right? And what do you weigh at the combine? 165, 166, and he does have a lot of speed. At least he's thin and fast, like a Tutu. But I mean, he looks like a cross country guy first, more than a professional football player making tackles and guarding receivers. But real quick, gentlemen, I'll start with you, Mark. What are your thoughts on seeing him in Rams gear at practice and seeing his body build? Not body shaming. I'm just saying, wow, it was very shocking to see this.
Yeah, I think I did read that he had issues tackling, and you watch him walk out on the field here, and it kind of the math works, right? That he maybe
Yeah.
doesn't strike me as a guy that's going to be a vicious tackler in the open field, taking on tight ends and big wide receivers. So hey, maybe going up against Puka in practice will get him straightened out. Yeah,
I hope
I
so.
need to put on 10 pounds here.
Yeah. What did you say, Paul, earlier about him and Tutu's diet and nutrition? What needs to happen?
I think forget the nutritionist. You got to put them on a meal
Uh,
plan. Like
yeah.
find the nearest Raising Cane's and say, "Listen, you live here for the next couple of months."
Yeah, let's get him some 4x4s, protein
Yeah, there it
style,
is.
animal style. We'll get rid of the bread. We'll get them all that good stuff for California style and get
Yeah,
those guys some
what might
weight.
be going on here too, I think the Rams have not really invested a lot in cornerback in the draft. Remember, Darion Kendrick coming back though, and I think Kobe Durant's been playing really well. So they're just maybe stocking the cabinet a little bit next year with some young cornerbacks that can all compete for starting jobs. Why not?
And think about it from this perspective, since he is on his rookie contract. If you hit, what a bargain, right?
Yeah.
At a position that I mean, they do have depth at the position. They're not like super light at the position. So, I mean, it's a nice play. Listen, if you want to be a top notch organization, you got to roll the dice.
That's the reality, ain't it? Roll the dice. And real quick on that, I mean, the Rams have done very well claiming other teams' former players that weren't starting, weren't playing, and have revitalized their careers, and they've been productive players. Think about Kevin Dotson. Think about Austin Corbett. Think about OBJ, Baker Mayfield, Robert Woods when he signed with us. Sammy Watkins was a reject. We can think of tons of guys that I'm blanking up. Marcus Peters, Aqib Talib, guys who were no longer wanted by their teams, and they ended up being good players. And I'm sure I'm blanking on others in the McVay era.
D
So
Will, D Will's another one.
Darius Williams. I mean, we can go on and on. There's probably a lot of guys we're forgetting about, but this shows that the McSnead combo, McVay, Les Snead, they have an eye, and the scouting department and the coaches have an eye for saying, hey, we can make that guy a good player with us. So hopefully that's another case of that with the Rams making a waiver claim for young cornerback Emmanuel Forbes Jr. And I didn't forget that second M this time on the lower third there, everybody, in case you're going to get on me for that earlier, okay? But with that said, gentlemen, we'll go back and we'll talk a little bit about that Saints victory before we move on to the big game coming up on Sunday. So, Mark, we'll start with you. Who is getting your game ball? What is a player? What is a player? Who is a player that you say, you know what? He deserves my game ball. He was a big reason why we won that game in New Orleans on Sunday afternoon.
Sorry, I'm going to give it to the same guy I gave it to on the pod the other day, Christian Roseboom. And there's probably a couple of guys that maybe had better games or better players, definitely. But you got to be really happy for this guy. He's taken a lot of heat. Ram fans are kind of meh about Christian Roseboom. Just an inside linebacker to get us by for a year, but he has been playing really well. He had a total of 12 tackles in this game. He had at least one tackle for a loss. He was flying all over the field. And you just got to love the way he's playing. And him and Omar Speights, between the two of them, feeling a lot better about these guys than I did maybe a month ago, especially Christian Roseboom. And I don't really see that I don't think it's necessarily a strength, that position, but Christian Roseboom, I feel really good about him in the middle right now.
Yeah, who would have said that a month and a half ago based on some of the things that were going on with that position group? It's crazy. And then we have here on the screen, shout out to everybody tuning in on YouTube. Like, subscribe, share this video. Inside linebacker Christian Roseboom amassed 100 tackles in a season for the first time in his career with 103 tackles through week 13. He became just the fifth Rams player since 2000 to record at least 100 tackles in their first 12 games of a season, joining our old friend Ernest Jones, Super Bowl champion last season in 2023. Corey Littleton, a fan favorite for a while when he did that in 2019. Alec Ogletree in 2016, the first year back in Los Angeles for the Rams. And then fan favorite who sometimes doesn't get mentioned as a Rams great, in my opinion, James Laurinaitis, when he did that in 2011 and 2012. So, holy crap, Roseboom balling out all of a sudden. Wow.
Here comes the boom.
Here
And
comes
he's
the boom.
due. He's due. He's going to pick a pass off this. I'm going to call it out right now. He's going to pick off a pass in the Buffalo game.
Hey, that's his strength, his pass coverage. So that's a great game ball you handed out to him, Mark, for sure. And Paul, who are you giving a game ball to for their fantastic play that led to a Rams victory on Sunday against the Saints?
When the going gets tough, the tough get going. I gave it to Iron Kyron. Let him get ill with the pill, man. He was talk about a bounce back game, with all the negative talk about his fumbles and everything else. And people lose sight, man. This dude is a machine. He's pound for pound and absolutely one of the toughest players in the NFL. And you saw that in that game. He ran hard. And the Rams were sagging a little bit in that game. And he was the one that sort of jump-started that offense. So you got to give it to him. In the red zone, he's 10 toes in, baby, full speed ahead. So that's my boy, Iron Kyron. He deserves the game ball.
Yeah, only on 15 carries, he had 140 rushing yards. I mean, we've been screaming all year, give the damn ball to Kyron. And I know the fumble stuff, and we talked about it, it's been an issue, but I think now getting Blake Corum involved, whether that's a kick in the ass for Kyron saying, all right, hey, we're gonna take off some carries from him because you've been putting the rock on the ground, whether that's what it is, or just McVay finally believing in the game and the run game despite it not being perfect most days, even though it felt like it was pretty dang good against the Saints. It's good to see that he's been balling out. But I think this is important to share as well. People don't realize this. Shout out to the Rams PR yet again, finding out these cool stats for us. So running back Kyron Williams recorded his 25th consecutive game with 50 or more scrimmage yards, the second longest active streak in the NFL behind All-Pro, borderline Hall of Fame player, depending on who you ask, Christian McCaffrey, who has 31. So, I mean, Kyron's that dude. And hopefully McVay treats him like he's that dude. How about throw him the ball a little bit more, and then let's run this damn rock, and that's the only way we're going to get in the tournament, I believe, is through him, Blake, but no doubt about it, number 23 right there with the cool cleats. Woo.
And based on that stat, I think I need to change his nickname from Iron Kyron to Kyron the Constant. All right?
That's a good name, too.
And if they ever start throwing him the rock out of the backfield, man, that'll be just bring another nasty dimension to this offense.
Yeah, really crazy. He's not getting screen passes thrown to him. I think he would do very well in that. But that's a subject for later in this episode. So that's a good game ball you handed out there, Paul, for sure. And who am I giving it to? Well, I think majority of you could guess who that's going to be. For me, it is rookie outside linebacker Jared Verse. The Saints foolishly, and let's just call it what it is, stupidly, left him one-on-one with the tight end and tons of critical situations throughout the game. I want to say, if my memory serves me correctly, without my notes in front of me after watching film, I want to say like 7 times. Great for us. What a dumb idea that was for the Saints to do. Dude absolutely bullied anyone who was a tight end trying to block him, and any O-lineman who wasn't getting a chip on him or a double team help. I mean, Jared Verse maybe didn't have all the sacks we were hoping for, maybe didn't have all the tackles we were hoping for in this game. But in critical moments, he caused pressure to make Derek Carr throw it away or have a bad pass. And then obviously this 4th down call at the end of the game where the Saints went for it and we got the stop where it looked like a strip sack to me, but whatever. NFL's calling it a incomplete pass. If he didn't get there, Derek Carr was going to throw to a wide open tight end. Cameron Kitchens, in my opinion, watching the film, got pushed, offensive pass interfered, but, that call was probably not going to happen. And the tight end was just standing there in the end zone like, throw it to me. And that's exactly who Derek Carr was going to throw to. But that man, Darth Vader, some people like to call him, Jared Verse, he saved the day right there. As you can see on YouTube, if you're watching this picture right here, saved the day from a possible overtime and maybe even a possible loss, where we have a very different tune here on this episode and the all outlook with the Rams if he did not get there and make that play when, again, the Saints stupidly left him one-on-one with the tight end. Yeah, he's fantastic. Should be an all-pro this season. Should win Defensive Rookie of the Year. But with all that said, shout out to Rams PR yet again. So I'll share this fun stat. On Sunday, outside linebacker Jared Verse recorded his third game this season with 3 or more quarterback hits. He is the first rookie since Michael Parsons in 2021 to have 3 or more such games, and is the only rookie to have multiple games with 3 or more quarterback hits this season. Baller. Verse also became the 4th Rams rookie in franchise history to record 5 or more tackles and 3 quarterback hits in a single game, joining his teammate Byron Young last season, Kobe Turner, his teammate who did it last year, and former first-round pick Michael Brockers back in 2012. Jared Verse is that guy, gentlemen, and I'm happy that he's kicking ass, keeping us alive. Man, oh, man. Fan-freaking-tastic. But with all that said, we do have to move on, just like the players, just like the organization. And before we get to this upcoming game, we got to talk about Paul's, not building blocks, chopping blocks, as things are getting pretty dang serious with this final stretch. And there's crap that's got to get done, right, Paul? So take it away, dude.
That's it. We've gone from building blocks to stumbling blocks. We're back at chopping blocks, man. Either it's time to either get it done or basically that's it. Drop the hammer. So, I mean, this game, when you look at it on paper, it's actually interesting. So I'm not a big stats guy. I always believe in the game is all about what you see. It pretty much speaks for itself. But just a couple of things that have to happen for the Rams to have a chance in this game. And the first is really the rush defense. If you take a look at it, the Rams rush defense, 144 yards a game. The Bills have basically a 3-headed monster. Josh Allen, their quarterback, I think he's got 6 touchdowns on his own. You have our boy Ray Davis, that San Francisco kid by way of New York who found his way to Kentucky, one of our favorites, a Puka power pick. And then you have Cook, of course. And Cook was just, Cook loves the snow. Did you see that game? Man, he was cooking, right? So this offense, once it gets going on the ground, man, they are tough to stop. So the Rams rush defense, that's why they're on top, man. They're the key to this game. They have to bow up, right? To borrow that line from AD, man, they have to bow up in this game, right? Because without them, the Rams don't have a chance. So look at that, 21 TDs. Look at the Bills, already have 21 TDs on the ground, right? So they're going to be geared up for this game. And then the other aspect of this ground game that the Bills have is go back to that Saint game. Look at that first quarter. The Rams had 1 possession. The Bills have circled that. That's it. That's exactly what we want. We're going to keep Stafford on the sideline. That's what a lot of teams are going to do with their ground game, to keep Stafford on the sideline, chew up that clock, and hold on to the ball. So that's going to be to me, that's going to be the primary component of this game against Buffalo. Then the second part of this equation is the Rams rush offense. So you take a look at that. They have to get their ground game going. Once they get their ground game going, they're a very different offense. So the bottom line is in that Saints game, look at the play action. What did Stafford look like? Stafford was just ripping them to shreds. Stafford on that half roll looks like a totally different quarterback. He goes from deadly to unstoppable. He's throwing straight lasers out there, and it keeps him away from the pressure. And I think that's the biggest thing, with him. He gets the ball out of his hand quickly. He's not getting hit, and and if he's smart, right, he can run for a couple of yards if there's nothing there, or he can just throw it away. And I think that's the key. So the Rams have to get their ground game going. That balanced attack makes this team very formidable. So I think that's key. Kyren, and now they're working Blake into the mix. There's a lot of potential there. So this is the interesting. If there's one stat that really stood out for me, this was the stat that really stands out to me. The Rams' red zone defense, this much maligned defense, they actually have a fairly decent red. They're number 6 in the league, right in the red zone. They're forcing field goals, right, and they get tougher as that field gets compressed. But you know who else is like that? The Bills, and we'll talk a little bit about that in a second. The Bills' rush defense is a little bit misleading. The Bills let you run the ball down the field, and then as soon as you cross midfield, they start sending safeties. When that field starts to get compressed, when you cross, actually not midfield, I'd say their 40-yard line, they're a very different defense. Well, the Rams are starting to be like that. They're definitely toughening up once you cross the 40. So if you take a look, there's 6th best in the NFL. Why am I bringing that up? Look at that Bills red zone offense. They're scoring at touchdowns at a 67% clip. So what does that mean, Ram Nation? For every 3 trips, 2 hit and pay dirt, right? So put that together with those 21 rushing TDs up there, that's scary. They're the 2nd best scoring offense in the league right now. So this is a monumental task for this Ram defense. The Rams are going to have to come up with a legitimate game plan. And the legitimate game plan is stop this ground attack, right? The Rams offense, Achilles heel is right there at their 3rd down percentage. Look at the Bills defense on 3rd down. There's a little bit of room there. So that's where the Rams have to work. So the Rams have a top 10 passing offense, but they're number 20 in scoring. So what does that mean? They're moving down the field, but they're not, putting it into the end zone through the air. So the Rams have to refine their deep strike passing attack. We had talked about that in our rapid reactions after the game, and you watched it and I watched it, and that was something that was there for the taking. They faced a lot of man coverage, and honestly, it was there. It was there. There were a lot of plays that were there. If they throw it up there, you're going to get a PI, or you're going to wind up with 6 or a big play. So the Rams are going to have to take more shots downfield in this game. This 3rd down percentage for the Rams, which has been an Achilles heel all year, is going to be a pivotal factor in this game.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with all that. And we'll see if it comes to life, right? Mark, what are your thoughts on Paul's chopping blocks? We're not building up anymore. It's time to get stuff done.
Yeah, some of those stats are kind of scary, and what I'm concerned about is a guy like Josh Allen. And one stat that I have to share, I know we have it here somewhere, it's pretty incredible to me. The Bills are plus 17 in turnover differential, plus 17, and that you could take that 2 ways though. Are they winning because they're taking the ball away? I don't think that's really the case. Or are they just putting teams in bad situations and they take chances, throw interceptions, fumble the ball, and so on? But that's a really big. That's a very telling stat. And the other thing that concerns me, kind of tied to your, the Bills' rushing attack. You want to get to Josh Allen, but you got to be really careful because if he slips out, he's going to create really big plays, throwing on the run and running the ball. So another one of those games, we have to have a really disciplined pass rush, or we're just going to get chewed up. So it's quite a challenge for our defense. It really is.
And the Rams have to also establish some type of, home field advantage. They have to start amping it up at SoFi. Ram Nation, can we all say it? You got to like represent at SoFi, boys. Come on. You got to establish some type of home field advantage so where teams are not, too eager to show up there. So that's the other part of this. So we'll see how it happens, but you got to represent at home field.
Couldn't agree more, and I'm sure Bills Mafia will have a good following out here as Vivid Seats tracks how many tickets are being bought from the opposing team city. And just like the Philly game, there's a decent amount of Bills Mafia from Buffalo, New York, making the trip out here, which when I was in that banner night in 2022 after the Super Bowl, when they kicked our ass opening day, There was a good amount of Bills Mafia there, so I don't expect it to be very much different this time around. But we'll see what changes, and hopefully there's a good amount that changes this time around as we do move on to the Buffalo Bills at the Los Angeles Rams in this Week 14 matchup on Sunday afternoon here in LA, where we hope Bills Mafia does not make that trip from Buffalo, New York. And it's all Rams fans that I'm sure Paul is hoping for, I'm hoping for, and everyone is hoping for in general. But before we get to keys to victory and all that other fun stuff, we'll flash this real quick. So they opened up with 3 wins, lost 2 straight. Ravens, they had a weird game. Texans, they had a very weird game where they just did, they look completely out of sorts. But since then, they've been on a 7-game winning streak and have just been kicking everybody's ass, it feels like. Jets, Titans, Seahawks, Dolphins, Colts, Chiefs. Everyone saw the Niners get obliterated. That was fun. And they've outscored opponents by 131 points. And they're currently the number 2 seed in AFC, as they've already beaten the Chiefs and are hoping they slip up so they can claim that home field advantage to the AFC playoffs, which would be huge for them in that cold weather. That's going to be inevitable once the tournament starts. And they're freaking good for sure. But before we get into some other stuff here, I think it's important, like we always do, to see how the hell have the Rams done against this team since the year 2000. We can go farther back, but we always try to keep it with the year 2000 here. And what is that Rams versus Bills history? Haven't played very much, but the Rams have only won 1 time in the last, 6 times they faced off. McVay has never beaten the Buffalo Bills, and they've only played twice. I get it, but not great. Jeff Fisher's team got smoked by the Bills when Tyrod was there. If you remember, everyone remember that in the Coliseum. And then the last time we beat them was 2012 when Tavon Austin was scoring touchdowns, when Sam Bradford was the quarterback, and we had kept the Bills out of the playoff tournament with that win that we got in Buffalo that day back in December of 2012. Other than that, we've been smoked, and we've lost. Sad. So, gentlemen, another team we're facing where the Rams just have very bad win-loss history with. Mark, what are your thoughts on this battles we've had since the year 2000?
Yeah, it's not good. And, there's a kind of a running theme here, McVay against AFC teams. There are several that he's struggled against. And I don't know if these are trends that really, I don't know how much weight we can put on them, but it's certainly not, it certainly doesn't make us feel better about our chances, that's for sure. But hey, maybe this is where we turn it around. And I'm not predicting that. We'll get to our predictions later. This is a really big challenge, but yeah, not good. And McVay has not beaten. I think there's 3 AFC teams that he hasn't beaten at least. I think they're all AFC teams: the Steelers, the Jets, the Bills, and I think the Dolphins. So there you go. Of course, yeah, we don't play them that often, but still not a good record against AFC teams.
Yeah, not at all. What about you, Paul? What are your thoughts on this crap history?
Well, you got the Rams and the Bills will always be linked, right? Famous quarterback Jack Kemp, but the son, Jeff Kemp, remember he played for the Rams for a couple of years. I think it was 81 through 85. He played for the Rams wearing the number 9. So, I mean, it's not a glorious history, but at this point, it's all in for the win. So, rewrite history. That's the name for the season, really, because it's 0-0. And we're trying to make a run. So let's keep our fingers crossed. But shout out to the Kemps, the Rams and Bills forever linked together.
Yes, they are. And we're hoping for better outcomes on Sunday. I wouldn't bet on it, but we'll see what the hell happens, right, gentlemen? Rams Nation out there. But I think it's important to highlight real quick all the free agent losses that they had. And Mark did a fantastic job of putting this thing together for us. So, Stephon Diggs, I said, see you later. Your divaness is no longer welcome up here in New York. Gabe Davis, they said, see you later. You're no longer needed making big catches down the field. Tre'Davious White, we took him and that didn't work out. Now he's on his 3rd team in a year and some change. It sucks for him. Jordan Poyer is on the Miami Dolphins. The Dolphins season hasn't been going good. Micah Hyde, Mitch Morse. Leonard Floyd's on our rival team, the Niners, now, and I'm sure they have other players we're forgetting at the moment, but they've lost a lot of people, and everyone was like, oh, Jets winning division. Oh, Miami's going to compete. Bills won't be out of it, but people were betting on Tua and the Dolphins offense. They were betting on Rodgers and the Jets offense. And Bill said, okay, sure. We see all you guys out there. And now, like we mentioned, number 2 seed, hoping to leapfrog the Chiefs. And it's just been absolutely insane, the amount of just good football play they've had. And I think it's important to also highlight their roster as a whole. Who the hell's starting on offense? Who the hell's starting on defense? So we'll start with that defense, where old friend Taylor Rapp is playing good safety for them. Who would have thought? After all his years of Rams fans claiming for him to be sent away to the football abyss and saying he's not a true safety, even though I thought the same, but he played really good in the dime linebacker situation. But hey, he's turned himself into a pretty dang good up top safety now. Damar Hamlin resurrected from his Grim Reaper scare on the football field. He's been playing some solid football. Then you have Rasul Douglas, Taron Johnson, Terrell Bernard, Dorlin Williams, Greg Rousseau having a nice season, Daquan Jones, Ed Oliver, AJ Epinesa. So they have a group who, including Von Miller, by the way, old friend, who's, on the latter half of his career. I'm sure Rams fans are glad we didn't give him that big contract. He's been hurt and done, hasn't produced like he did his final year with us during this championship season. But they have a good defense. They're playing good complementary defense, if you could say that. Everyone's rallying to the ball. The scheme is good. McDermott's got them playing well. And they're a big reason why they're doing so dang good, winning all these damn games. But we all know what's driving the car here, or driving the snowplow, whatever you want to call it up there in Buffalo, New York. It's this freaking offense. Led by Josh Allen, James Cook, Khalil Shakir having a resurgence as a slot guy, getting open tons. Keon Coleman, who was a good draft pick, who I would have been in favor of the Rams taking the second round, by the way. I really liked his game, and I thought that would have been cool. They made the trade for Amari Cooper, who's been doing nice. They have Mac Hollins. They have Deion Dawkins, who's playing on an all-pro level. Former Ram David Edwards, who we gave up on after he had multiple concussion issues. He's doing good with Coach Cromer, who's leading that O-line group. Then you have Connor McGovern, Osiris Torrance, Spencer Brown, Dalton Kincaid, who the Rams really wanted to trade up for a couple years back. And they also have Dawson Knox, who's a good tight end as well. So this team's pretty dang stacked. I don't know if it's as talented as the Eagles player by player, but they're kicking ass, and it's not very good. But with that said, who are the best players on this Bills team? And I think this is pretty easy to start off with this freaking guy catching his own passes and scoring on our rivals, Josh Allen, who's probably going to win MVP since it's a quarterback award, it feels like. All world. He's a quarterback built in the lab. Size, strength, arm talent, smarts, athletic ability, all of it. It's ridiculous. Look at the man diving in the end zone here if you're watching on YouTube. It's ridiculous. I'm worried about it. Hopefully he doesn't kill us on Sunday. So there's that dude, right? The all-pro, probable MVP. But without this dude, James Cook, who's having a nice season running the ball with their new coordinator taking the helm after taking over last year, he's been fantastic. Talk about a breakaway player like a Kamara, like a Saquon. If we don't wrap up on this guy, he's see you later. I mean, maybe Darius Williams could catch him. That's probably the only dude who could even have a chance if this guy gets some daylight. He's having a Pro Bowl level season, and he's still splitting carries with your former Puka Power pick there, Paul, Mr. Davis, who's playing really good football for them too. But Mr. Cook, just like Dalvin, game breaker, got to contain him as best as possible. We'll be in for a long day. And then somebody who, unless you watch a lot of film, unless you hear some other NFL analysts who really pay attention to the trenches, Bills left tackle Deion Dawkins is playing like an all-pro. And he's another big reason why this offense is just lining up everyone's scoreboard. His win rate is up in the upper tier 90s. No pressures. I think Josh Allen is one of the least sacked quarterbacks when he drops back. I mean, he's a huge reason why protecting his blind side. And I think those are the best players from the Bills. Here at Rams Up, and I say all that, gentlemen, after spewing through the roster and their best players. What the hell do you think we're going to do against this team in terms of player by player? Is anyone else that stands out to you on those Bills roster, offense or defense? Any old friends you want to shout out that we talked about a little bit earlier?
Talk about top to bottom, man. He's just solid, just a solid roster build. So shout out to Coach McDermott. He puts out a great team every year. Believes in his system. They play good, solid, fundamental football. I mean, it's great to watch, man. I don't know about Ram Nation, but I saw that snow falling. It reminded me. I wanted to throw on some gear right out there when we were kids. We used to always wait for the snow and run onto the field. But they're a solid football team, and they're physical. They want you to play their game. They want you to say, okay, let's go. It's like a championship bout, the body blow, and see who gets to deliver the knockout blow. And that's the way the Rams are going to have to play it. It's the bottom line is that they're going to have to get after it. And their secondary, the Rams secondary, is going to have to step up. It's the bottom line. You can't keep trying to protect, your secondary. You're going to get chewed up. It's about time to play football. Load up, get after it, play on the other side of the line of scrimmage. The Rams have a talented defense. They have a young, aggressive defense. We've talked about, Boom is ascending, but their secondary, if there's any one position group, which over the last couple of weeks, which has really started to not impress, it's been the secondary. But I will say this, Cam Curl is starting to rev it up. Between Curl and Lake, listen, the experiment has to end. Lake's got to get back to his star position. They're not getting enough big plays. It's time to cut him loose, cut Curl loose, get after it, play football. Don't be afraid to play football and see what happens.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. What about you, Mark?
I was just going to say, I have to give a shout out to the Bills organization because a lot of us Ram fans, if you recall, at some point in the last year or two, their general manager, I think it was poo-pooing the Rams for going all in. We'll never do that. That it's irresponsible to go all in like that and overpay a bunch of free agents. And then the Bills found themselves in a really, really bad spot a year and a half ago, and players had to leave, and that's why they had all those free agent losses. And I was one of the ones that said, Bills aren't going anywhere this year. All they have without Josh Allen, they're going to be mediocre. The problem is they do have Josh Allen, so and he's been a big part of their success. So I have to say I was wrong about the Buffalo Bills. I thought this was going to be kind of like what the Rams went through last year. Even more so that they were going to be somewhat irrelevant. And man, they've just been crushing everybody. I think they've scored, I was just looking it up, I think they've scored 30 plus the last 5 games. So they're doing something right there. And they have players. What I like about the Bills is I don't think, aside from Josh Allen, I don't think they're, have one unit that really dominates their roster. It's just very balanced. Good players sprinkled across to every unit, and that makes for a really good football team.
Yeah, it definitely does. And the GM after his dumb little comments about our squad, and he ended up having to blow it up as we went through the free agent losses. I mean, he's done a pretty good job with the draft picks, right? Coleman, we talked about, Ray Davis, all these guys. So credit to him. They've been doing pretty dang well with that. So I just wanted to give him a little shout out, at least for that. We'll be respectable here, right, Rams Nation? We'll call good things for what they are and dumb things for what they are. And, sometimes your GM does both, and the Bills are doing okay because of it, though. So, hey, we have a good team that's coming into town for sure. So with that said, let's get into those keys to victory. And I think it's important real quick to go through some of the little stat leaders. We'll just bang through them real fast here, Rams Nation. So Josh Allen, killing it, 20 touchdowns, 5 INTs. James Cook, killing it, 11 touchdowns. Ray Davis getting burned. Shakir, Coleman, Cooper, Kincaid, Knox, Deion Dawkins is probably going to be an all-pro. Ridiculous. Defensive leaders, Rousseau, 6.5 sacks. AJ Vanessa, 5. Ed Oliver, Olano, Von Miller. Even though he's suspended, he's starting to get into form. Rapp, Hamlin, everybody. Micah Hyde's came back. I mean, it's a lot. It's a lot, but we'll find a way, hopefully, and go through the losses. But I think here's some of the big stats. you see their Bills offense, their yards per game. It probably could be higher if they weren't pulling back late in games, right? If they wanted to keep the pedal to the metal, they could be really smoking people, I feel. But that points per game, to your point earlier, Mark, I mean, second in the NFL with borderline pushing 30. Woo! Not good for our defense, who is on the bottom tier of that list. And Bills defense, 11th total. They've been playing good, like we talked about earlier. McDermott, their passing yards, they've been locking it down pretty good. Points per game, another big one. They're in the upper echelon, top 6. And they're holding people pretty dang good. And that's definitely a worry for sure. But regardless of all that, gentlemen, how the hell are the Rams going to win this game? Right? What
I
the
think
hell do they need to do to get an upset victory where I assume no expert is going to pick them to win this game, right? So go ahead, Mark. What the hell do the Rams got to do to win this game?
well, if there was a game where the Rams had to control the clock and play keep away with the football, this would be it. And if they could put together 11, 12 play drives, culminating in touchdowns as much as possible, and I think they can do that. You saw the stats. I think this Bills defense, you can run on them. We can run on them with Kyron Williams. We just have to not get ourselves in, third and long. Move the ball with Kyron. We've been saying it all year. Go to the run game first and chew up clock. And you can chew up clock with the short passing game as well. But I think that's really our only hope. If we can kind of do what the Saints did last week, play keep away. Where the Saints failed was getting the ball into the end zone, right? So that's probably our only hope, because our defense is going to give up some points in this game, right? There's no way. We just have to limit their possessions as much as possible and finish our drives with touchdowns, not turn the ball over. Got to play a pretty perfect game, I think.
Yeah, feels that way, doesn't it? What about you, Paul? What the heck do the Rams got to do to upset the football universe on Sunday afternoon, get a win in LA, where the Rams just haven't been winning many games here at SoFi, which is not good? What do they got to do, dude?
Yeah, this is a great game. This is like, prime time, tune in, order the grub, sit back and enjoy. So this is a great matchup. So I think it's time for the Rams, and McVay sort of hinted at it too as well, is that it's time for them to like stop worrying about who they're playing and play their brand of football, establish their identity. I think that's part of the reason that this season has gone the way it is. It's like, if we were to say, like, we know what the Bills are, we know what they do, we know what their identity is, and they do it well. If we were to ask that about the Rams, everybody would sort of be like puzzled. Well, I guess they do this, I guess they do that. So they need to establish who they are and what they are. And this is a great another barometer game, just like the Eagles game. Two things are going to happen. You show up flat, you're going to get smacked. You better come out ready to play. Can't have those first quarter slow starts and get behind the 8 ball again, because, the Bills will just bleed you for 4 quarters with that ground game. So this game is going to be won and lost on the ground on both sides of the ball. Whoever establishes the ground game, and Mark sort of mentioned it, red zone efficiency, right? Buffalo is scoring 2 out of 3 times. They're winding up in hitting pay dirt. Rams are going to have to stop that. So force some field goals. The Rams are going to sling it. Their passing offense is top 10, and it's just heating up. The wide receivers are starting to get going. They look really, really good. Those vertical plays were there. Now it's time for the Rams to dial that up and really force teams to lighten the box. The number of plays where the Rams are facing heavy boxes is just, I was shocked when I was counting. It was like almost like 50% of the time it's a heavy box. So the teams are daring the Rams to throw it on them deep. So the Rams are throwing the ball, so it's like when you look at the numbers, sometimes it doesn't make sense. So the Rams are throwing the ball, but teams are like, all right, we'll give you that 15-yard crossing route. We'll give you that 8-yard cross, but they're still going to make you go down the field and run 8, 9 plays. And they're banking on that the Rams with that, really struggling on that third down efficiency scenario, that at some point that drive is going to short circuit. And that's basically everyone's game plan against the Rams. So in this game, the Rams are going to have to turn that around. They're going to have to be sharp, like Mark said. You want those 12-play drives, you got to hit on third down. But at the same time, you got to take your shots. You can't let teams clamp down on you like that. But this game's going to be, make no mistake about it, it's going to be won and lost on the ground.
Yeah, it definitely feels that way, and I couldn't agree more. And it feels like we say this every freaking week, doesn't it, Rams Nation? Run the damn ball. But with that said, I still think Coach McVay needs to be more diverse with his playbook, because the Bills, led by their Sean on defense, they'll be ready to go knowing that the Rams only run freaking zone, inside or outside, duo, and then an occasional elite toss or something like that. It's very, very simplistic. Are there different ways to block those things and make them look different initially? Sure. But at the end of the day, it's the same 5-6 run plays, and that's not going to be enough, I believe, to win this game. McVay has to get in his bag and come up with more creative plays to sustain drives, keep the ball away from their MVP player and their second best offense of the entire NFL, Buffalo Bills squad there waiting to come out. Because if there's 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out, or McVay gets too pass happy, where I call it the McVay special, I say that, where he abandons the run, he just doesn't think about calling run plays at all, we're in deep, deep trouble. So it's about running the football, but being diverse. Still run your zones and duos, but how about a power toss every now and then? How about some jet sweeps, what it feels like it's been forever since we've seen that? How about some reverses where we saw a couple of them? One should have been a big play, but Lyman didn't block it good with Tutu. The other one, Puka Nacua had a nice run. Let's see more of that, more misdirection. We just need everything possible to control the clock. And how do you do that? Run the damn football, but do it in creative ways. And I think that's going to be really, really huge. Defensively, when Allen is out there, let's just be honest. The Rams suck against mobile quarterbacks. They're just awful. Other than the Geno Smith game where we contained him, or we just bullied their opposing offensive lineman, and that's pretty much it I can think of. Right? Every other mobile quarterback, and Sam Darnold too, did a decent job. Every other mobile quarterback has just absolutely killed us. Brock Purdy killed us. Kyler Murray killed us. Jalen Hurts killed us. And whoever else I'm blanking out, Drake May, who probably should have done more. He kept a lot of plays alive. We just don't handle it well. But this game, if they do not, I mean, Josh Allen's going to smoke us by himself, and we're going to be in for a long day. So the key to victory with defense is get to Josh Allen, of course, but contain him. Make him throw laser beams on the field. Don't let him extend plays and find a Shakir wide open on the third down after his shiftiness gets himself open. Don't let Amari Cooper get that second effort. Don't let Keon Coleman get that second chance to win a jump ball, as he's a bigger receiver on our smaller corners. We have to make Josh Allen 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe get rid of in the pocket. No extended plays. And look, he's going to get his quarterback runs, designed runs. We just got to smother it as best as possible. But if Josh Allen creates extra time by running around, we're in so much deep trouble. So that's going to be the key. Limit his running around in the backfield. And special teams, Cardi's got to make his freaking kicks, of course. Right? And I think Ethan Evans, his punting duties, he's really going to have to try, depending on where we're at in the field, of course, to pin them deep in their own end zone somehow. Get them to start at their 10-yard line. Get them to start at their 12, their 6, their 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The farther back they are from our end zone from scoring, the better, right? So I think that's the key with special teams as well. And, I mean, it's pretty simple, right, gentlemen? Contain Josh Allen as best as possible and hope for the best. I guess so, which is, yeah. I mean, we're going to be in for a battle for sure, right?
Yeah, and one thing we haven't talked about is how about Jordan Whittington and the kick returns? That's added a new dimension to our teams. You mentioned special teams. I always forget about special teams, but he's a guy that could make a difference as well in this game.
The X-Man. Xavier's dying to get one,
Yeah.
get a chance to return one. He hasn't had a chance to return one in a while. But when he touches it, man, he's electric. You talk about jet sweeps, sneak him on the field, run some jet sweeps. X-Men wants to take it to the house.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
had that one carry, like it seems like 2 months ago. He had that one carry, and it was
Yeah.
electric, and the sideline was going crazy. And go take a seat, Xavier. Your season's over as far as offensive snaps, apparently.
And what a difference Blake Corum and those fresh legs made in the New Orleans game. Talk about jump starting an offense, right? So
Yeah.
that's between he and Iron Kyron, man, they could really, really carry the load in this game. And you keep it close, then that's the bottom line. The Rams have played a ton of one-score games. Keep it close, and you let Stafford win it for you.
And talking about the Bills Mafia, I just don't know if it's unavoidable. I was just checking the weather in Buffalo in early December. It feels like 18 degrees right now. It's going to warm up to 45 on Sunday. So if I'm a member of Bills Mafia, what a great time of year to make a trip to Southern California, right? So
Yeah.
I have a feeling they're going to be there.
Mark, we're gonna have to edit that out. Thanks a lot, Mark.
No, no, I don't. I'm not picking on them or anything. It's just a fact, They, if you're going to make a trip to California from northern New York, and you're a Bills fan, it's the week to do it.
Mark, you have to tell them the weather's lousy out here. They don't want to come out here, man.
Yeah, you're talking to a guy who wears thermals when it hits 50 degrees here. So
I expect Bills Mafia to pull up, but we expect you to pull up too, Rams Nation. We definitely need you to be there. I cannot be there, unfortunately. I'll try to make the next home games that are coming up. But the more you are there, the more our young rookies, our young players, our team in general can feed off that energy. So if you can make it out there against a team who is Super Bowl hopes and are going to be picked by many to win it, your energy will be very much appreciated. The battle, whoever in Bills Mafia is there on Sunday in sunny California. But with that said, gentlemen, Rams Nation, we got to give our early score predictions. Yes, we do not know who is officially out and officially playing in this game. As we know, we do these predictions on in the middle of the week here, but we got to give it to you and see what the heck we think is going to happen score-wise in this game. Are Rams going to win? Are Rams going to tie? Or are Rams going to lose? So I'll start with you, Mark. What is your early score prediction for this Sunday afternoon game? Rams and Bills.
I have not picked against the Rams since 1968. But this may be the one game. The one game I have to pick against them to retain some measure of credibility. This Bills offense is just putting up too many points, and I expect them to get to 30 against our Rams. I'm hoping that the Rams can keep pace on offense to some degree. Maybe a turnover changes the game for us. Maybe we get a couple big plays on special teams. Who knows? But I'm going with Bills 31, Rams 23. The Rams at least keep it interesting, make it a one-score game late, and it'll be entertaining. But I really can't pick the Rams in this one. My belief is the Rams will probably lose this game, and then they're going to go up to Santa Clara and beat the 49ers and be right back in the thick of things in the NFC West.
Yeah, I mean, who can blame you for feeling that way, even though you are a loyalist, and Rams Nation appreciates that for sure. But you got to be a realist too when you're playing this high-flying team going on right now. But who do you think is going to win this game? Rams or Bills? And what is your score?
So my job is to bring the blue bias here, whether it's the Dodgers or the Rams, and I'm going to stick to that. So, I think it's going to be a battle of the clock. And I think, listen, the Bills clinched, right? So they're definitely going to have at least one home game. They already clinched their division. So I'm hoping for a little bit of a letdown, a little bit of fatigue from that snow game. And like Mark said, the weather's going to be great. Hopefully they spend a lot of time at the beach, right? And they show up and we get a little bit of a letdown that just opens up the door just enough. And like I said, keep it close. Let Stafford win it for you. I say the Rams sneak out of that or with a win. and it's going to be 24-17.
That would be fantastic if they could do that. I would be a happy man, and I would truthfully be shocked, let's be honest, if that would be the case, if we were to contain Josh Allen. So, with that said, I'm sure many people can can picture in their head where I'm going with this. But I think, truthfully, just like the Eagles game, at a certain point, the Rams defense will break. They'll hold on maybe a half, maybe 3/4, but I think eventually they just won't keep their defensive prowess strong enough to hold on and win this game. And the offense, just like the Saints game, when I pick them to lose narrowly, I got to see sustained, proper performance, to say it, shortly. And I have not seen that. And why is that all going to sudden change against a well-coached Sean McDermott defense where their team is just playing on fire? So I'm predicting a not good score. I'm predicting something pretty dang ugly, truthfully. I'm picking the Rams lose 17-31. I think it'll end up looking something similar to the Eagles game. And I hope I'm wrong. I'll be rooting for the Rams, but I got to be real. What the hell have the Rams offense done to make me think that they're going to compete and go back and forth with Josh Allen and this version of the Bills offense that he's running right now? What has our defense done to say, hey, they're going to hold on and somehow play like a top 3 unit and hold an MVP candidate to 21 or less points when they've been dropping 30 plus on everybody for a while now? I don't see it happening. Is it possible? Of course it's possible. Can the Rams do it? Of course they could do it. But what have they done this whole season to make me believe that they're going to do all those to win? I have to see it to believe it. And that's how I end up here with the 17-31 score. Hope I'm wrong, but damn, we're just running to that type of squad where I don't feel good about it at all.
Don't worry, Ram Nation. We're going to make Ian watch Remember the Titans on a loop for the next couple of days.
It's a good movie. Good movie indeed. But we hope Rams come out on top. Of course. I hope to always be wrong when I pick against the Rams. Of course. But we need a lot of things to go right. And who knows? In the world of football, any given Sunday, these things are why we watch. We hope for the Rams to come out guns blazing and upset the Buffalo Bills. We hope to leapfrog and get ahead in the NFC West with more victories upon us. So I know, Rams Nation, many of you are thinking, okay, this game's a wash. Let's look on to the 49ers. They cannot do that. They have to try their best to win this game, and then we can worry about the division games going forward. But if they are to win this game, it would be fan-freaking-tastic for their chances of making the playoff tournament. Right, Mark?
Yeah, and the point spread's only 4.5, which surprised me. So Vegas obviously thinks we have a shot. No. So we'll see. It'll be fun.
This is a Windex game.
Pardon?
Windex game.
This is a Windex game. This is a clarifier, right? So, like Mark was saying, he's like, it's only a 4.5 point spread, right? It's like, this is a clarifying game, like Mark is saying. It's like, it really shows you who you are. I like to call them Windex games, like the Eagles game was. So, just think about what Ian was saying, the lack of confidence he has in the defense. So for 4 weeks, people are debating, whether the defense is blank, blank, blank. The bottom line is if you're in your mind, right, thinking about the defense in this game, that tells you where the status of this defense is. It's the bottom line, right? So if the Rams are going to go running around, like Javris is going to be running around past quarterbacks and doing all these non-disciplined things, BY on the other side, they're, the guys in the middle getting knocked 5 yards off the ball. I mean, it is what it is. They have to show up and play their best game.
Yeah, hey, let's be optimistic. Let's look at the bright side. If the Rams win this game, they can find a way to steal this win. And it's possible, right? Seattle loses in Arizona. The Rams are in the driver's seat for the NFC West title. They really are. So let's just cross our fingers. They can find a way.
Dare
Yeah.
to dare to hope. Dare to hope.
Dare to hope indeed. And we're hoping for that outcome exactly. Shout out to everyone on Twitter doing the division standing math of all the different scenarios of how the Rams could win the West, or whether it be end of the season, this upcoming week, and look out for those guys who do those fun things. But with that said, gentlemen, we got to get out of here and study some film, just like the Rams players, and put some good juju in the Rams universe to get a win for sure. But thank you, everyone, tuning in. I'm Ian. That's Paul. That's Mark. This is the Rams Up Roundtable from the Rams Up Podcast Network. And we're hoping to see you guys on their post-game reaction with a Rams win. We can all be talking about all the great things we saw from this Rams team, and hopefully not a Rams loss, but we're realists here for sure. But with that said, we'll see you next time. Share this video, like this video, and comment. Let us know your thoughts on how the Rams are going to beat the Bills on Sunday afternoon. We love reading all your guys' comments and seeing any emails or messages you leave us for sure. But with that said, we're out of here, and we'll see you on Sunday in the post-game reaction here on the Rams Up Podcast Network. Peace.
Get rowdy, Ram Nation.
All right. See you guys.
Ramley forever.